Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Stacy, I'm a registered nurse, and if you're new here, welcome in. If you're coming back, I'm glad to have you. How you guys holding up? How you doing? How's everybody feeling? Let's talk about it. You know, healthcare can be very overwhelming and stressful, and as nurses, as healthcare workers, we often don't have an outlet to express those feelings or release the things that have happened during our week. Who do you talk to? Who is it that you talk to for support? Where do you find your release? I was participating in an interview with a nurse, and one of the questions that they asked is, what do you do to cope with death, to cope with the things that happen? I've talked about the fact that I'm a hospice nurse. I do home hospice, and one of the things that they want to know when they are interviewing you to take a position in hospice is how you cope with death, how you cope with the challenges that come along with being a nurse, dealing with the end stages of life. And I think some of us are very good at compartmentalizing what's happening in our job and in our personal life. But what do you do when your personal life has conflict? Then how do you cope with the things that you deal with at work? I mean, we're all people. We all have things happening in our lives. How do we cope with life and work? I've talked about balancing those things before, and I think it's just one of those critical things that you can never talk about enough. Mental health is one of those critical things that you can never talk about enough, because you never know where somebody's at in their mental health journey, or what they're thinking of, or how they're feeling, unless you ask them. And a lot of times we're so wrapped up in our own lives as healthcare workers that we're not really noticing what's happening around us. Maybe your coworker's going through a divorce. Maybe your coworker lost a loved one themselves. And I know, as a person who's dealt with loss, that when you're losing a loved one, it is really hard to focus on being a good nurse to the people who are losing their loved ones. It's hard to balance those things out sometimes. Some of us find comfort in spirituality. Some of us find comfort in taking on hobbies, hanging out with our friends. Some of us find comfort in solitude. I know one of the things that I used to do when I was a younger nurse was go for a drive at night and look at the lights by the airport. I don't know why, but that's always been something I've enjoyed, something to take my mind off things, seeing the lights at the airport, driving at night, looking at the stars, going somewhere where it's really dark and there's no street light and there's not really any people, and just rolling down the window and letting the breeze come in and just feeling the air hit you. Now, if you live in a warm climate, you know, I've been in the desert, and letting the breeze hit you is like sitting in an oven in a desert type climate like Nevada, say. I don't know. Maybe there's cool nights too where you can just go out and let the breeze hit your face and look at the stars, sit outside in your backyard, take a breath, get some oxygen. I like to listen to music. I feel it's very cathartic to listen to music. I like to cook food. Cooking food is a way to release some energy that's pent up inside when you've had a stressful day, like making bread or something like that, where you can really get into it. I like writing. I like journaling. I haven't done it in a long time, but I used to find it to be very effective in helping me release without violating anybody's personal information. You know, you can talk to your coworkers, you can talk to your manager about the things that you're experiencing at work and the things that you're feeling, and those people are in on the information that's happening. But you can't always talk to your coworkers or your manager about the things that are going on in your personal life, you know? You can't always have those conversations with the people you work with. I have some really good friends. They don't live in the state I live in, but I can still reach out to them if I need to unload, and they can still reach out to me if they need to unload. And I think it is very important to have people who are able to listen and not judge when you are going through things in life. Every life thing that's happening does not require an immediate decision. You know, sometimes you just need to talk about it so that you can think about it yourself. Sometimes we have friends that have a tendency to want to give advice when what we really need is just an ear. And I think that that's good advice as nurses, that sometimes our patients aren't looking for advice. They just need someone to talk to. They just need someone to unload to. They're not looking for a solution necessarily, as much as they're looking for comfort and an ear to hear them, to be heard. I think the value of being heard is priceless. Priceless. You can't put a price on feeling like you're seen and heard. I focus on the aspects of being a nurse because I'm a nurse, and that is where my work stress comes in. But every healthcare worker is going through struggles in their job. Patient to staff ratios, staffing issues, you know, where you have a bunch of people that quit all at once, for example, or you're going through a growth spurt and you just can't get enough staff to fill the need. or you need that growth spurt to get the need, you know? Everybody is struggling in healthcare to manage the demands of your job and the demands of your personal life, and to not have those two intermix. And I have to be honest, as a nurse, it's very hard not to intermix those feelings as a human being. I think as nurses over time, when we deal with enough sad events or stressful things that come along with our job, we begin to put those things into separate boxes and deal with them later. But what happens when the lid comes off the box when you're not ready to deal with it? And mental health is so important. You have to know your limits. What is your hard limit? What is your hard limit as a nurse? What is your hard limit in your personal life? It's really important to have boundaries and know your limitations. Know what you're able to give and what you're not able to give to someone, whether that be in your personal life or your professional life. We have to be able to advocate for ourselves as much as we advocate for our patients. We have to advocate for ourselves. We have to be able to say to our managers, our coworkers, you know, I just can't take that on. And understand that your manager is not always going to empathize with you or be able to provide you with the support that you need to not do that thing that is your limit. And I think it's also important when you're thinking of mental health to look at what you're capable of giving as a nurse, because our personal lives are very important. Our families are very important. Our relationships outside of work are very important. And if our jobs begin to bleed into those relationships, then it becomes a time of reflection to ask yourself, is this really something that is for me now? Is this still something that I can provide for my patients from myself? And I think as nurses that we've all been at that crossroad where we've had to say, this is beyond my ability. And sometimes, you know, you're very lucky and you have a great team and you have a great manager and they are there to support you and get you through it. I have worked with some really great teams where I knew they would have my back if I needed them to, whether that be a time of crisis in my personal life or whether that be a situation at work that was challenging and hard to deal with. I knew they would have my back. And there is so much value in working for a company that values you as a person. There's so much, it's just really important that you feel like you're being heard and seen at the place that you work, and that you have a sense of belonging and a sense of team where you're working. And that if that is not something that you feel, that it's okay to ask yourself, is this right for me still? I've been thinking about mental health a lot as I get older and as I go on in my nursing career. And I have had many times where I've been at that crossroads asking myself, is hospice something that I can still do? Is it something that I still feel I can give myself to? And ultimately, I have felt enough support when it's been challenging to keep on going in hospice, because I love doing hospice and being part of that journey for people and offering that comfort. But like I said, you know, sometimes in our personal lives, we're struggling to find that comfort, and it's hard to provide that comfort for others. And that's why it's really important for you to take time to decompress, find something that you love to do. I can't stress this enough. Don't take your work home with you if you can avoid it. It's hard. It's hard not to take something that you're passionate about and bring it through your door when you come in. So hard, because you don't stop being a nurse when you come home, right? You are a nurse down to your core. You are in healthcare down to your core. Once you're in, you're in. And it's challenging to get out once you're in, because your heart is in it, your soul is in it, you've given your life to it. And we develop strong feelings about our patients and the things that they're going through and about their families, and we become strong voices for them. And it's so hard sometimes to leave that outside of your home and not bring it in. But it is unfair to your family to never separate from work and be present in your family. And I have struggled with this throughout my career, honestly. I have struggled with that separation of work and family balance. And it's caused a lot of things to be difficult in my personal life over the years. It's caused a lot of arguments and disagreements in my personal life about my work-life balance. And so for me, as I get older and the longer I'm a nurse, that line is very precious to me. I value my personal time greatly. I used to value work and money a lot, and I wanted to work as many hours as I could and earn as much money as I could, but you burn yourself out when you do that. And there is so much value in doing what you love. I love to go to the lake, to the ocean, to nature, spend time soaking it in. I love the sights, sounds. There is nothing that compares to having water flashing up on you and sunshine and a cool breeze for me. Just being out in nature, whether that be in the woods, whether that be at the beach, whether that be in my backyard. There is value to that, and that is where I sit with myself and let things go. There's value to taking a walk for me. You know, you can walk off some of that energy that you're feeling. Sometimes we get angry about things that are going on at work or things that are going on at home, and we don't have an outlet to express that anger. That's why I think for me, journaling has been so important, and I'm thinking of picking it up again myself. So my question to you is, how do you protect your mental health, and how do you protect your personal time? Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. What are some things that you do personally that help you to separate yourself from work and that help you to maintain your mental health and your joy in life? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. If you like what you see here, then I ask that you like, subscribe, and follow for more. And I thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.